What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel, or if you're new here, welcome. Today is an exciting time because this is Final Destination Fridays. Like we promised you guys, we are going to be reviewing all the Final Destination films every Friday night leading up to the release of Final Destination Bloodlines, and then we're going to give you a review of that film and do a ranking. So that should be a lot of fun. But of course, we got to start off with the one that started it all, and that is Final Destination from 2000. We have to actually preface that. The good one. Yeah. Which, I mean, the whole franchise, other than 4, is good, in my opinion. I like the whole franchise other than 4. But
I do too. I enjoy this franchise too. Not as much as other franchises, but I do enjoy this franchise.
This is my big guilty pleasure franchise, I'd call it. Meaning like films that, other than the 5th one, which I feel like is actually genuinely like a really damn good movie, all of them are kind of like, okay, I can let my brain go and just have fun kind of guilty pleasures. And so this is probably my biggest guilty pleasure franchise. And this first film turns 25 years old this year. It actually turned 25 last month. So happy 25th anniversary to Final Destination. This is a movie that stars Devon Sawa, Sean William Scott, Ellie Lauder, a few other actors in there. And basically, if you've seen the film, you know what it's about. It's this kid goes on this airplane and he has a premonition that basically shows him and everyone else on the airplane dying, and then he's trying to warn everybody saying, hey, this airplane's going to explode. I need you all to listen to me and leave the airplane. And of course they don't, and then basically the spirit of death is after them. If you all know of death, you know, the Reaper, all that stuff. Like, it's the spirit of death is after them, and it's taking each one by one, and they sort of cheat death because they were supposed to die on that airplane, but then they get off, and so it was because they cheated death. Now death is like rampaging around them and picking off his friends one by one, and they're going in a certain order on which one's next and all that. So it's a really fascinating original concept at the time that this came out, which I thought was really cool. Kind of deals with a little bit of the butterfly effect, a little bit of how our choices kind of impact what we do and how we live and all that. I think this is one that you categorize in there, and I'm a sucker for that because butterfly effect kind of stuff is, I'm going to be talking about that later in the month with Somewhere in October, a horror channel, so definitely stay tuned for that. I love
the butterfly effect movie too.
Yeah, those are always ones that I am big into, and these kind of have that same kind of feel to them. So that already is enough to get me interested. But like, the deaths are gruesome in here and a lot of fun, and I just think that this is a blast of a film. We'll go around the room, just kind of get our general thoughts before we start discussing deep dive into this film. But what do y'all think of this film, Ross and Tori?
Oh, I love it. You know, like, and then like, it's actually better on a rewatch is because one thing that the sequels do that like this one alludes to, but it's never confirmed. But the sequels confirm it.
Which one?
Tony Todd being deaf.
Yep.
This one alludes to it. You remember, like, when he says, "I'll be seeing you later."
That's true. And
the only thing that it says.
Rest in peace, Tony Todd. You are excellent in this film, and I'm glad that a franchise that he is super well known for, which is Final Destination, alongside, you know, Candyman and other stuff. I'm glad that the final role we're going to see him in is something like Final Destination.
Now, what do you think?
Fun. I know you're not a horror gal, so.
She actually, did you like it?
Yeah. I'm a good suspense girl, but that's about it.
Yeah, you know, this one has a lot of really good uses of the jump scare as well too. So
yeah,
because we forgot, we honestly did forget though, you know, about it having jump scares. We remember when we told her no jumpies in it.
Yeah, and there's like already, I think there's like one like near the beginning, like when I was watching it, I was like, and then there's of course the owl that pops up, which is
the most.
Which is
yeah, so like, what do you have to think about the clock?
Oh yeah, that was a good one.
That got me the most.
And then of course the bus scene is always my favorite jump scare. That's like an all-timer for me.
But Andrew, now, would you like it? Did you like it, Andrew? Still,
I love this movie, and what I loved about this is this felt more like a horror thriller, where the other movies I feel get a little more outlandish in a good way. I feel like they get even more outlandish as they go on. So I like seeing this one and having it feel like a little bit more of a different feel. Like, I love the third movie, but as I was watching it, I'm like, this is a horror comedy. In my opinion, it got like so insane that it felt like a comedy at sometimes. If you get what I'm saying.
Oh yeah, no, I completely get it.
This legit felt like a horror, like thriller kind of a thing, and I will get more into it. But I really liked a lot of aspects about this movie, especially the tones, and the vibes of this movie. Like, this is one that I am going to go back to specifically every year, and maybe other ones in this franchise that I love.
Oh yeah, too. The teacher did not look much older than the students. I could even tell that was a teacher.
She was also pretty good looking. Not gonna lie.
Yes, completely agreed. And also, best death in the movie.
Yeah, definitely one of them for me. Maybe
Michael,
the best death.
Did you know that this movie ties into Terrifier 3?
Really? How so?
One of the actors is in Terrifier 3.
Which one?
The cop.
Oh, really?
You know who he is?
Who?
He's the Santa Claus.
Wow.
That's Daniel Roebuck.
Oh my god. I didn't even know that.
Speaking of the cops, I like the whole cop aspect to this movie. I really like that aspect because of the fact that not only do you have the main character trying to stop death, but knowing that the cops are after him and could arrest him and could take him away at any time just makes it feel even more like, oh shit, what's gonna happen? And it makes it more suspenseful. It adds to the story. It adds to the tension. It adds to the drama a lot, I feel.
Oh yeah, too. And I'm like, okay, maybe I'm reading too much into this movie, but at the end, it almost feels like he didn't care really. He was going to kill himself at the end.
Yeah, I think. Obviously, he was because he cared about her. He was going to save her. Yeah. Like she was his main priority since they were a couple.
No. I'm sorry. You know, like at the very end, like when they all survived and they're at that hotel.
Oh, at that hotel. Okay.
And my theory on that is maybe he just felt like, I'm sick of like being scared. I'm sick of all this fear. Like if I'm gonna die, do it already. Come and kill me, you know?
Yeah, go out on your own terms.
Like I don't want to live in fear anymore. If I'm gonna die, let me fucking die.
Oh yeah. And I liked what you mentioned earlier, Andrew, about the kind of the tone of this movie and atmosphere. Because I noticed that when I was watching this, that there's an atmosphere to it that when I was watching it, the very opening shot of this movie, the wind is blowing and you hear this like music playing and the curtains fly by. And there's like that's like atmospheric kind of feel to it. That was really interesting. And there's a lot of plane symbolism, I noticed. Like he actually has like a plane dangling in his house and all that. And I'm like, dude, why would, and he still has it hanging up even after the plane accident. I'm like, dude, also, I would have taken that down immediately after the plane accident.
Speaking of some of the symbolism, there was a few times, especially in the beginning, that I felt some of the lines were a little bit too on the nose. Like, especially one line in particular, when they first get to the airport, and you have the religious guy handing him the pamphlet about death. I am legit like, did the Zucker brothers come in?
Speaking of,
like, this feels like a scene from Airplane.
I completely agree. Speaking of on the nose, I noticed something as well that was like kind of facepalm inducing. Now, granted, I didn't Shazam it to see if it was like an original song they made for the movie or whatever, but it was still the way it was done and executed was like
I know
very
which one you mean.
was
Is
very
it
on the
the
nose.
Final Destination?
It was like a song playing, singing about their final destination. It was like, "I am gonna be my final destination," or something like on the radio, and I was like, "This is as on the nose as you can get." They're
Yeah,
literally singing about
I
their
think
final
that's
destination.
too, and I'm like, oh my god, and I'm like, oh my god, and the other moment in the movie, it was like the second scene of the movie where he's with his parents and he has the paper on his luggage, and they're like, hey, what's this paper doing here? And he's like, oh, it's it's for good luck in case something bad happens, And as soon as that happened, I'm like, subtlety much?
Well, anyway.
Yeah, but I do like, for the most part, this doesn't have my favorite characters in the franchise. It's probably 3 or 2, but when it comes to actually the characters, I do like these characters for the most part. There are some that are straight up assholes who deserve what's coming to them. Then there are some that I really like Devon Sawa's character, my man crush, love him. He is awesome in this movie. Ali Lauder, she's awesome. Isn't she the one that returns? Yeah, she's the one that returns in Final Destination 2.
Yeah, she's also in Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back.
Yeah, she was really good in that. And then the guy who plays Carter, the actor who plays Carter, he was in My Bloody Valentine 3D. I remember that. And so has a good lineup of characters that you get to follow here, and each one has their own different kinds of personalities to them, and I like that.
I'm gonna admit this. So I thought the kind of a romance in this movie, I thought it was kind of cute. I'm going to admit it. I thought it was kind of cute. I could tell they genuinely did care about one another. And tragedy will bring people together. So it made sense. And all in all, this was a really fucking great movie. I'm like, wow.
This movie was it has 2000s cheese a bit. But
yeah, it does. It's got that fun
because those kids should not be 18.
No, but I mean, a lot of 2000s movies did that.
Yeah,
like She's All That. I love that movie.
Yeah,
but those kids are not high schoolers.
Yeah, but yeah, like this film, I loved it. It's because it knows how to toe the line between goofy and not.
Yeah.
Yeah,
no. Exactly. I feel like this movie knew when to go over the top a little bit, and when to keep it more subtle and to keep more on the down low. I like the fact that deaths in this movie, despite some of them being zany at times, still felt plausible.
Yeah.
Somewhat.
In this one, for most of them did. Obviously, the shower death, that literally the water had a mind of its own. It was like,
yes,
it was like Jaws, dun 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 dun, hunting him down. I was like, there's no way that would happen.
Yes, compared to the other movies, it feels like some of the other movies, if one thing was just 3 feet over, then the deaths would not happen. That's how intricate they are. They're I feel like overly intricate at times, and that's what makes it kind of funny. But in this movie, it's like, for example, the teacher breaks the muck. Okay, you see the crack. She brings it over the computer. The crack gets liquid into the computer, and as I'm watching,
you would notice that, though. You would notice that.
You would notice if there's a crack. You would totally notice if there was a crack, because if there's a crack, and you're sipping something. It's why is it slowly disappearing?
Yeah, you would eventually notice that, because I've had a crack in my drink, in my cup before, and I'm like, and I would just be like, wait, why?
And Sean William Scott's character, his death was probably realistic though, because
probably. I mean, the CGI on it was a little rough. You could tell there was some CGI.
I just mean the way it happened.
Yeah, the way it happened. That doesn't make sense. Yes. And then obviously the girl's death with the bus, that is realistic. If you're going fast enough and you're not paying attention, and you step out in the middle of the road, shit like that can happen. Speaking of, that is a good time to go around the room and ask what each of your favorite deaths were in the film, because eventually what we're going to do our Final Destination ranking, but I would also love to do a ranking of all the deaths in Final Destination. So that would be once the new one comes out. So that would be like post the new one. We would do a ranking of all the deaths, and then that way we see which death is the best. So that should be really fun. But right now we'll say which one is our favorite death. Which one is your favorite? Well, favorite death, Ross.
Easy. It's Sean William Scott, like when he got part of his head cut off.
Yeah, because that was very unexpected, because you knew it was supposed to be Carter's turn, and then Sean William Scott like pulls them both up, and then all of a sudden he gets his head sliced open, and you're just like, oh shit.
I knew it was gonna happen because they kept on cutting to the thing.
Yeah.
Up the railroad tracks. I'm like, that thing's gonna kill somebody.
Well, remember, all of them were in the car and they all got out, but Carter.
Yeah.
So
it
would be Carter that would have gone killed instead of the other one.
Yeah. I mean, because yeah, it was his turn to die during that time, because he was locked in there and couldn't get out and had to be pulled out by Devon Sawa's characters. Which, by the way, that's another thing that's kind of unrealistic. I'm sorry.
Apology accepted.
If a train moving at that speed is that close, they were not actually gone from the car until the train basically made impact. And I'm sorry.
I forgive you.
If you're even remotely that close to a train, you're in a million pieces. Like, I'm sorry.
You're dying like instant 0.01 second.
Exactly. So that part was just a little unrealistic. But what are you, Andrew? What was your favorite death?
Miss Loomis.
Or Luton.
Luton.
Not Loomis. That's Halloween, not Final Destination.
Fuck, I'm so sorry. I mixed up her name.
It's fine. Don't worry.
It's fine.
Yeah. You're good. So, you want to elaborate on that, though?
I thought her death had great build up, and the payoff to it was great.
Yeah, no, I am.
Because her death was like more of a suspense death.
Yeah, her death was like each little thing. My favorite death, and rewatching it is still my favorite. I think it's just the timing of it is perfect, and what she says, drop fucking dead. And as soon as she says that, the bus just hits her. The timing of it, everything, just straight up perfect. I loved it. And the shock value of it. When I first ever watched this movie, I was like, holy shit, what the hell? I should have seen it coming because she's backing up into the street. And I kind of saw it coming. But even when I kind of saw it coming, I still was shocked by it, which is really cool.
In a lesser horror movie, too, they would have done it again. They would have killed off, Alex with that. Because remember, they almost did it twice with the bus.
Yeah, that's true. I'm glad they didn't repeat gags. And that's one thing I've liked about Final Destination in general. They don't like repeat deaths from previous movies. Each death is different. Yeah, this movie was my story. I have a story behind each film, really. Well, at least the first three. I have a story behind the first three. This one, I decided to watch because I was flying to Florida. It was my first ever flight that I was ever going to take. And I decided to watch this the night before my flight took off. So I started having this anxiety in me on that plane ride. And on the plane ride, we lose turbulence for like a minute. And so we like just started dropping like that. And then they like picked back up and then started running off again. But I was scared shitless because of watching this movie the night before. And I was telling my friend who was sitting right beside me on the plane, I was like, dude, I should not have seen Final Destination last night. This is not a good idea. And he was like, I shouldn't have either, because we both watched it together that night. We were like a bunch of dumbasses. But yeah, that's like my story behind this movie. So
when I first saw this one, I was at the perfect age for it too. I thought, like my senior year, or either my junior or senior year of high school.
Yeah, that's a good time to see it. Didn't really grow. This franchise doesn't have the nostalgia-ness of something like a Scream or a Freddy Krueger movie or one of those. Like I didn't grow up with this film like I did some of those, but I saw this when I was like a teenager. You know, that
Never
kind of
seen
age.
any
of young
Scream
teenager.
movie, if you can believe it.
Really? Wow, that's gonna have to be something you introduce her to.
But-
But yeah, this is a really great film, guys, with a wild third act, crazy third act, but also just a crazy deaths and crazy fun throughout the film. I think it's an utter blast, and this is definitely a really great film. It's one I probably, well, it's not the one I revisit at least. That's the fourth one, obviously. But out of the other ones, I see 2, 3, and 5 more than I usually watch the first one. But I still, when I do watch the first one, I have a blast with it, and I think it's a lot of fun. So this is definitely a recommend for me. I like it a lot. Thumbs up for me. I think this is a really good kind of guilty pleasure horror film, and I can't wait to cover the rest, guys, because we got Final Destination Fridays going all Friday long through May 16th, whenever the Final Destination Bloodlines comes out. So that should be a lot of fun. And then we got Kyle joining us for Final Destination 2. And then Jacob Cameron, he'll be on for Final Destination 3. So that should be a lot of fun. And then Andrew will probably join us again for Final Destination 4 because I know he's a fan of that one, even though we're not really big fans. And then Final Destination 5, we'll be having Austin Pez Howell join us for that one because he wants to join us on one of these Final Destination reviews. I know he's a huge fan of 5, so he should be a good guest for that one. Of course, other stuff we got coming up on the channel. We got our Mission Impossible commentary series we're still doing, and then we've also got The Last of Us after show for season 2 this Sunday night. So we'll be doing a live after show for you guys. So you gotta stay tuned for that. And those will be pretty much weekly. And then we also have Halfway to Halloween coming, where my guests already lined up. I have Zach Shelton joining for robotic kind of horror movies. So we're going to be discussing like films that include robots, like Chopping Mall or like Megan or one of those ones for that kind of horror stuff. And then my most anticipated episode is with Somewhere in October. She's a new horror channel that just recently kicked off, but she is killing it right now. And we are going to collaborate, but we're going to be doing a discussion on like a mixture of time loop / time travel / butterfly effect horror. So like all those intertwined together. Also, movie watching girl is also going to be joining us. So she's kind of more of a Instagram / TikTok kind of name, but she's still popular on there. So you guys can definitely check her stuff out. But those are 3 Halfway to Halloween videos I have coming up for you guys. There may even be more. So there's a lot of really fun stuff coming up in April that y'all can be on the lookout for. So stay tuned for that and even more. That'll do it for this review, but sound off down below. Let us know your thoughts, what you think of the original Final Destination film. Love to hear your thoughts. And we will be back for Final Destination 2, everybody. So see you in the next one. And until next time, stay spooky, my friends, and keep on watching those horror movies.